If you've been looking for Sony's new 100mm macro and had no luck, welcome to the club. And at nearly $1,500, it feels almost unattainable for most of us. But if you want a macro lens for your Sony camera, now is the time to jump on them because people are dumping the 90mm macro on eBay for less than $600, which is a steal. That is nearly a third of the price with a lot of great features still. So if you're interested in taking sick portraits, pictures of bugs, or pictures of other things with your larger than life macro lens, then you should check out the 90mm macro by Sony. This lens has been considered one of Sony's sharpest lenses, even though it was released 11 years ago. It is a 1:1 macro lens with a minimum focus distance of 11 inches. And I've owned this copy for a couple years now and absolutely love it. It's not only a macro lens, but it's a great portrait lens and it works perfectly for high compression B-roll shots. It takes very sharp product photos and it has a feature that I wish other Sony lenses had. I'm talking about the mechanical brake. So basically how that works is forward, you're in autofocus. When you pull it back, now you're in manual focus. So you can adjust your focus very precisely. It has a knurled focus ring, which is different than most of Sony's focus rings. They have that kind of ribbing, but this is like metal. This is honestly such a premium feeling lens, especially being a G lens. I would say this is a fantastic lens for the price. It comes in at about 602 grams, which is honestly not that bad. Throw it on a gimbal, you can shoot it handheld. It is pretty well balanced. It has a physical focus limiter switch, which basically allows you to go from shooting 90mm portraits at a distance to shooting macro shots with the click of a button. So you could be out taking pictures of your dog and then randomly see the sickest praying mantis and boom, you're ready to go. It has a focus hold button and an optical steady shot switch, which allows you to get just better shots shooting handheld. I love optical steady shot. I feel like it's a great addition to a 90mm lens. You definitely want to have additional stabilization when possible, especially when shooting at almost telephoto lengths. All in all, this lens is one of my most solid lenses and it's weather sealed. So don't be afraid of shooting near water. Hey, get out of here! The lens's focus motors are a little bit louder, but not really bad at all. Like you can't hear it when you're recording video or anything crazy like that. The lens is razor sharp at f2.8, has minimum distortion, and has very creamy bokeh. I don't have any complaints about it. I would say one drawback for me would be that it has a 62mm filter thread. So a lot of Sony's modern lenses, they're shooting on 82, 72, 67. Being that this is a 62, you're gonna have to buy your own dedicated filters for that lens or use a step-up ring. So at the end of the day, it's really not a huge issue, but it's definitely something that you have to consider. How many step-up rings is too many step-up rings? And for your convenience, I will even include some notes for the up-and-coming 100mm GM macro lens in case you're interested in comparing the two and deciding which one you want to buy. For starters, you should expect a slightly faster autofocus system, advanced floating focus design, improved optical steady shot, a smoother bokeh, macro shift focus control, and focus breathing suppression. It also has an apodization element. What it means is the glass is thicker in the center and it makes the center of your shot even sharper, and then it gets softer and a little darker as it goes out towards the corners of your shot. The other nice thing about Sony's 100mm macro is you can actually pair it with their 1.4 and 2x teleconverters, effectively making it an even more versatile lens. Now it is heavier than the 90mm macro by about 98 grams, but it has a larger filter thread at 67mm, which is gonna feel more native to the rest of your modern Sony lenses, which leads us to the big question in the room. Should you buy the 100mm macro G lens for nearly $1,500, or would you be happy with the 90mm macro for almost a third of the price? And I'll tell you right now, at a third of the price, it is packed full of features and a great value buy. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to your needs. The 90mm macro is a freaking sick lens. I've used it extensively on my FX3 and my A7 IV. If you feel like you need the apodization element and faster autofocus, then by all means, jump on the 100mm macro. And granted, if you own the 1.4 or the 2X teleconverter, then yeah, that also makes it a much better buy. But if you don't own any teleconverters and the apodization element is not something that you feel like you need to spend an additional $900 on, then the 90mm macro is going to get you 90% of the way there as far as features go. It's gonna make you happy, in my opinion. I use the 90mm macro all the time. Now, granted, it's not gonna be a super fast autofocus system, but it is a decent lens, and I've never been in a situation where I'm like, oh man, the autofocus sucks on this thing, because it doesn't. If you plan on using this lens for macro purposes, you're gonna wanna shoot in manual focus anyways. What your lens natively thinks should be in focus at a macro level, a lot of times is different from what you wanna be focusing on. So autofocus, in my opinion, is kind of a moot point unless you're using these lenses to shoot like fast action sports or portraits on the fly or something crazy like that. So you tell me, which lens are you gonna be buying in 2025? The 100mm macro GM lens or the 90mm macro G lens? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.